I don't know their names, Bill, but if you follow the money, you go high enough, you start to see, okay, this is an industry. Same people who own the labels own the prisons. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And that's cool. We can do it ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We still on the rise without these motherfuckers, so we don't need them, you don't need them.
Ice Cube just exposed Hollywood elites for satanic rituals. This is what he had to say in the video that has now been taken down, blocked from every social media.
In light of recent events, I feel compelled to use this platform to share what's been happening behind the scenes, something I've been hesitant to talk about. I want to expose what is truly going on in Hollywood, to shed light on what many have been whispering about, but few have dared to say out loud. It's about time that you, my fans, get to hear the unfiltered truth. Many elites in this industry are involved in some shocking activities, practices that have roots in what can only be described as satanic rituals. I know it's a heavy thing to digest and many might dismiss it outright, but I assure you these things are happening. We see cries for help, even in a seemingly casual Instagram live. You gotta look beneath the surface. As fans, as consumers of media, you need to be aware of this reality. Our fight isn't just against exploitation and discrimination anymore, it's far more complex. I urge you to remain critical, to question everything, and most importantly, to stand by the truth, no matter how unsettling it may be.
Ice Cube has ultimately clarified the real reason behind his ban from Hollywood movie making. He asserts that the industry's gatekeepers leveraged his unvaccinated status as a pretext to remove him from the projects he was involved in. Ice Cube recently shared on Joe Rogan's podcast how he rejected a movie role worth $9 million due to his unvaccinated status. During the interview, he highlighted that major Hollywood production houses have made vaccination a mandatory requirement for actors. He had a significant monetary offer on the table for a role, yet he made the decision not to proceed with vaccination. Ice Cube alleged that suddenly every Hollywood producer had issued a mandate stating that those unvaccinated, including actors and studio staff, would not be allowed to work. He inferred this must have been a directive from the studios, given that producers have differing viewpoints. Some of these producers, despite their personal views, communicated this mandate to Ice Cube and his team, asserting that without vaccination, his presence in the movies would not be permissible. Despite being unvaccinated, Ice Cube was unperturbed by the subsequent lack of work. What surprised him, however, was the emergence of news stories explaining his absence from the silver screen. He stated, "I hadn't publicized this situation, I hadn't announced my vaccination status or dissuaded others from getting vaccinated, nor did I attribute my exit from the movie to my decision to remain unvaccinated, yet somehow the news got out. Perhaps the Hollywood Reporter or another media outlet leaked the story." He found it odd that in light of HIPAA laws protecting medical privacy, his vaccination status had been broadcast and sold as news. He speculated that someone within Hollywood had informed the press, as neither he nor his team had disclosed this information. The Hollywood Reporter and other significant news outlets made his vaccination status and consequential loss of movie role public knowledge. They were accused by Ice Cube of releasing his private medical records without consent. Reports spread about his exit from Sony's upcoming comedy Oh Hell No, where he was supposed to co-star with Jack Black due to a vaccination requirement from the producers. With Black's injury during a filming of Conan's final episode leading to a delayed production start and Ice Cube's departure, the studio was left scrambling for a replacement. While he refused the vaccine, Ice Cube had been active in promoting pandemic-related safety measures. He was recognized by a college in Oklahoma for donating 2,000 face masks as PPE. In April 2020, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, he launched Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself, branded t-shirts featuring him wearing a mask. The sales proceeds were directed towards aiding frontline health workers. Ice Cube noted attempts to pressure him into getting vaccinated were fruitless. "They tried to publicize my personal affairs, apply pressure on me, people around me telling me how foolish I was, urging me to get vaccinated so I could partake in the movie. No matter the amount, even $20 million, it was never going to happen." Joe Rogan, the podcast host, expressed his full support for Ice Cube's stance, suggesting that health couldn't be traded for money and addressing the concerns about forced vaccinations. In a previous episode of the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, Ice Cube affirmed that his refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccine had cost him a $9 million acting role. He declared, "I turned down a movie because I didn't want to submit to the jab. thereby confirming circulating reports. He further expressed his frustration with the pressures he was experiencing to get vaccinated, stating, "I rejected a $9 million offer. I didn't want the jab. It's not right to pressure me into getting it. I'm uncertain of my standing in Hollywood now." When one of the podcast hosts proposed that Ice Cube could pivot from Hollywood to streaming platforms, he responded, "That's what Hollywood thinks. They're on their own agenda, but I have my plans too." Probed about the possibility of leaving Hollywood to pursue independent productions, Ice Cube hinted at having numerous projects in the pipeline. He said he was indeed considering it and was actively working towards it. In a past episode of Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, Ice Cube had an in-depth conversation with Mike Tyson covering a range of topics, including his ban from Hollywood. When Tyson's co-host Matt Barnes inquired about Ice Cube's forthcoming film projects, the rapper said, "I'm always working on something, Right now I didn't get vaccinated." So, Ice Cube had also previously made an appearance on Mike Tyson's Hotboxing with Mike Tyson podcast. During the episode, they discussed a variety of topics, one of which was his ban from Hollywood. Ice Cube stated, "Hollywood for a time chose not to work with me because of that," his vaccination status. In the podcast, he touched upon his admiration for Tyson, considering him nothing less than a superhero. He also discussed his collaborative project, Mount Westmore, with other rap icons like Snoop Dogg, Too Short, and E40. Ice Cube then shared his future plans with Tyson, criticizing Hollywood for their reluctance to work with him due to his vaccination status. He optimistically added, "Perhaps they'll regain their sensibilities. Regardless, we're concurrently working on numerous independent projects." As Ice Cube unraveled why he felt ostracized and gatekept by Hollywood, he also released a video expressing that he wasn't a part of the privileged Hollywood elite club, much to the industry's disdain. He recounted the difficulties he had faced due to this exclusion and his decision to remain independent. Ice Cube went on an extensive discourse about his alienation from the elites and gatekeepers of the entertainment and sports industries. He emphasized his intentional decision to stay independent, which he believes irritates insiders because he resists the common path. Ice Cube felt that certain groups were obstructing his work due to his stance and his refusal to join the mainstream Hollywood circle. He declared, however, that he was determined to overcome any hurdles thrown his way. Ice Cube also discussed his co-founded Big 3 basketball league with entertainment executive Jeff Quatnetz, which he believes was not receiving due attention in mainstream media due to his standing in Hollywood. He also speculated that his contract with Black America, which urges the NFL to redirect more business towards black companies in various sectors, could be another reason for the dismissal of his basketball league. Planning a comprehensive podcast tour to discuss these issues, Ice Cube mentioned his discontent with the gatekeepers who have been ignoring his Big 3 basketball league ever since he launched his contract with Black America ahead of the 2020 presidential election. Previously, Ice Cube had advocated for Hollywood studios to introduce some form of reparations to redress the long-standing maltreatment of black artists in the entertainment industry. To address police brutality in the U.S. and attempt to dismantle broader systemic racism, Ice Cube penned a document titled A Contract with Black America. In a conversation on The Breakfast Club, Ice Cube discussed numerous aspects addressed in the contract. When host Angela Yee brought up Hollywood representation, he expressed his belief that Hollywood has wronged the black community for years. He suggested that studios willing to rectify this should finance black-run studios, enabling them to narrate their stories without interference from the traditional Hollywood system. Undoubtedly, Ice Cube's actions were courageous, and he has already asserted that his contract with Black America has had detrimental effects on his career and his Big 3 basketball league. When he detailed the contents of the penned contract, he contended that Hollywood studios have perpetuated the misrepresentation and exploitation of black narratives and their history for over a century, often attributing it to white characters rather than handing these rights to black individuals themselves. Ice Cube proposed that these well-known studios should financially support a studio run exclusively by black individuals, free from external influences, and where the creative works are owned by the black artists, directors, writers, and the team that bring the projects to fruition. He also proposed a regular contribution to the studio as compensation for the harm inflicted upon the black community over the years. Ice Cube clarified that his proposal did not seek segregation in the entertainment industry. He envisaged black artists continuing to collaborate with major studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, and Universal. He mentioned that many of his colleagues had projects they couldn't push forward because some white individuals didn't understand their creative vision. He believed a dedicated space for black creatives would be beneficial. Furthermore, Ice Cube emphasized that Hollywood needs to compensate for the harm it has caused to black people, arguing that negative media portrayal has contributed to police brutality. He argued that the way law enforcement treats black people is a learned behavior from TV shows like NYPD Blue. Ice Cube's straightforwardness, his refusal to be part of Hollywood, and his decision not to get vaccinated might be among the many reasons for his alleged exclusion from Hollywood projects. One fan remarked, "All companies and hospitals that fired people for the illegal COVID vaccine mandates and those who were injured by said mandates should sue them all. Ice Cube banned from Hollywood for not getting vaxxed," followed by another comment, "What's up with Ice Cube saga? So what do you think about Hollywood's supposed gatekeeping of Ice Cube? Could it be because he refuses to conform, or is there a deeper secret they're trying to hide? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Please bear in mind that this video's content is based on theories and personal opinions and should not be interpreted as factual information.